Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about what Dungeons and Dragons is doing today with narrative and just how powerful it is right now, and how we're really at the inception of what Dungeons and Dragons is going to do for narrative. So, I really strive to understand Dungeons and Dragons, and I really strive to communicate my understanding of Dungeons and Dragons clearly and in a winsome way. I think one of the things I've done in the past is I've failed to communicate what I believe about Dungeons and Dragons in a winsome way. But Scott Garibay don't quit, right? So I'm gonna give this another shot here. And so I want to talk to you about Dungeons and Dragons today, and I want to talk to you about where we're headed with what Dungeons and Dragons is going to do with narrative, what it's already accomplished with narrative, and what's coming next. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so I try not to bury the lead here. I really think I'm starting to understand what Dungeons and Dragons accomplished for human narrative in 1974 when it was created. What happened when it echoed again in 1989? What happened when it echoed again in 1997? What happened when in 1999? Excuse me. What happened when it echoed again in 2008? And what happened when it echoed again in 2014? And we're now expecting it to echo next year, like 2023. We're about to hear the fifth echoing bong from that shuddering tone that emanates. The first one hit in 1974, and it went right down the line. 1989, 1999, 2008, 2014, and the next one's coming in 2017, right? And narrative is incredibly important to humans. We've always had this special relationship with story from the first days when we scrawled paint on cave walls. We have been using story, right? And I really feel that Dungeons and Dragons is the absolute pinnacle of human narrative, right? And I'm starting to get just a better understanding of why it's so important what Dungeons and Dragons, how it accomplished what it did, why it's so important, and also why it is genuinely incredibly difficult for people to understand or see what happened with Dungeons and Dragons, and why Dungeons and Dragons is so critically important to the future of humanity as a species. Okay, all right. So, and it's all about narratives. So let's move forward. All right. So I just returned from a cruise, and it really I will say it was life changing. I have never experienced anything like I experienced on this cruise. So I'm a world traveler now. Before I went on this cruise, I'd never been out of the United States of America. I have now been out of the United States of America, so I'm a world traveler at this point, right? Which kind of unlocks a new realm of knowledge and wisdom for me, right? I'm not bound to one culture, and I can start to understand and speak for and speak to issues that concern all humans, not just Americans, right? Because I'm a world traveler, right? I've been to Canada, right? So on this tour, I was utterly shocked at what I had seen. I'd never, honestly, let me talk a little bit about the Garibays. I am incredible. First of all, my grandfather was a gigantic jerk. I never met him in my entire on my father's side. I never met him in my entire life. He left my father when he was 2 weeks old. Left my grandmother when he was 2 weeks old, and shattered both my grandmother and my father. Just really broke them in fundamentally cruel and inhuman ways. He was just an absolute. My grandfather was a villain. I've never even seen a picture of him, right? And it hurts. It's but my father, he did the best he could to be a father to me, and he was. And compared to the father he had, he was incredible. Truly incredible, right? Like, my dad was not a perfect father. He made mistakes, and he definitely made mistakes raising me. But man, oh man, did he set the bar high. He paid for my entire college career. I never put a dime out. I never wanted for a single thing. I always had a roof over my head. The vast majority of my life, I literally lived the American dream. I think we owned a Burgundy Matador when I was a kid, and I can remember all the cars we had. And like, I think we might have lived in apartments when I was about 1, 2, and 3. After that, we literally lived the American dream my entire life. Like, we had 2 cars in the driveway. My mom, just labored for me and my brother to no end, and we never wanted for anything. Like, we had a roof over our heads, we had all the clothes we needed, and and I don't even know what hunger is, right? Like, you could always just go to the fridge and get whatever you want, right? So my father was an incredible father, and I think I've surpassed him. And actually, I will say that because I think he said it. He said it to me. He's like, "You did a better job with your kids than I did with you." He said it to me, which is, I'm really proud of that, right? I have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, and I've really strived to surpass my father, and I think I've done it, right? But the Garibays have never been exceptionally wealthy, right? Like, and I'm not, I'm upper middle class at best, and so when I went on this cruise, I've never been on a cruise before, I was utterly shocked at what I saw. The ship was over 1,000 feet long. It contained almost 4,000 people, okay? It could hold almost 4,000 people, and it had 15 decks. This ship I was on had an atrium. It had an atrium that went like 8 to 10 stories down. I've never seen anything like this, right? This ship was an utter defiance, an utter, complete and utter defiance of every limitation humanity has ever had with this sea, right? Titanic. we went to where they actually have the graves of the people who died on the Titanic in Canada, right? And so, which is incredibly ironic, and that's America, right? Like, the Titanic, people die, from failure of a ship. Now we just get on a ship and go, like, say, sucks to be you, right? Like, it's that. What's more American than taking a cruise to where people died on a massive cruise, right? Like, it's, and so I was just astounded, and I continued to just be utterly rocked by what I was seeing, right? And so I can't even list for you all the things that just absolutely astounded me on this trip. It was awe-inspiring just how much humans have been able to defy our limitations when it comes to water. This ship, a Titanic was quite sinkable, right? No pun intended. But this ship was, like, sinking this ship would be virtually impossible, right? It has, Doppler radar and a million different kinds of radar to make sure it's never even near a threat. We sailed for 100 miles through dense fog, and I don't think it even slowed down, right? It's just absolutely astounding. What really blew me away was we went to these, they had live shows on this ship, right? Now, once you get on the ship, virtually I'm a teetotaler. Me and my wife are both. I'm a teetotaler. My wife is not. She drank when she met me, and I am you know me, right? Like, I'm an intense, adamant guy, right? And so I've never drunk because, like, literally all 4 of my grandparents had problems with it, right? So I never started, and my wife just kind of came along. So for us, everything on the ship was free, right? Like, I think the only thing you have to pay for is, like, drinks, and even there you can get some kind of package, right? But so we went to all these live shows. There was a point where there were like 8 dancers on a stage on a rocking boat, and a piano came out of the floor on a moving ship. We have utterly destroyed every barrier that we have to being on the sea. There's still barriers below for us to go below, but we have mastered the sea, right? And in 1912, Titanic, we were like, we got this. Humans were like, humans up, sea down, right? Like, and we were wrong, right? But in 110 years, we made the sea a female dog, like our female dog, period. Like, it just, we crushed it. Like, we's done it, right? I watched people do an ice skating show on a moving boat, right? Like, it is like, we mastered the sea, and what we can do on the sea, I just witnessed it. It is astounding. It is astounding what they've been able to accomplish, and that is iteration after iteration after iteration after iteration after iteration after iteration, done with tech, done with creativity, done with innovation, and done with a zeal that is unmatched, right? It's just nuts. Like, I couldn't believe it. Narrative. We scrawled pictures on caves. Shamans came along, right? And they told the village, they told the tribes different stories, right? For different reasons and different purposes, right? And then the book came along, and boy, did we go hard on the book. Fangs out on books, right? We did a lot with them, right? And then the silver screen, the big screen, and we have iterated, right? And we have done much with it. And then small screen, and we have iterated and done much with it. And narrative is strong. D&D wrecked all of it. What you've seen in the last 48 years is just the gesturing fumbles of a sunken Titanic. I got the key. I know what Dungeons & Dragons is, in my humble opinion. 3 things, right? It is DANTS. It is dense. It is 5 people who know each other at a table, right? Telling a story together. It is the artist, right? It is dense. It is dense. It is accelerated. It iterates. Being able to answer questions, be able to cycle through abstraction, action to assertion, right? Being able to run ontological experiments. Dense, accelerated, narrative, trilateral sourcing. Okay? The artist, that's the dungeon master. It is, so you have the experiencer, but every other form of human medium is just the experiencer being subjected to art. Dungeons and Dragons, in 1974, Dungeons and Dragons says it ends. The experiencer crafts the story in real time with the artist. And both of them are bound by fate. Bound by fate. Bound by math. Bound by chaos. Bound by order. You are looking, when you look at Dungeons and Dragons now, you are looking at the fumbling gestures of the Titanic being sunk. We made this great thing, but it's nothing compared to what it will be. We're just at the start. It's just 48 years. And people don't even understand what Dungeons and Dragons is. In my humble opinion, they have no clue. Narrative is as precious, as important as the blood in our veins. We are going into a knowledge worker world, and you are about to see the atrium get constructed in a ship. You're about to see, ice skaters on a moving ship doing ice shows. You're about to see a piano rise out of the stage. Utter defiance of everything we've ever accomplished. We won't get there until people realize what Dungeons and Dragons is. In my humble opinion, Dungeons and Dragons has never been a toy. It has always been a tool. If we see it, we can do it, and we can defy every limit that exists on human narrative with Dungeons and Dragons. You and me, and a few years from now, that muggle on the right and that muggle on the left, right? We got muggles all over. I truly believe I'm the only person in the world right now who sees Dungeons and Dragons for what it truly is. And I'm trying to bring people, I'm trying to let the veil open, right? And see it for what it is. So we can get to work. So we can have a piano rise out of the stage and utterly defy every limit of human narrative. Please try to open your eyes. Look what has been accomplished already and see where we can be 100 years from now. And what we can just sweep aside because it's no longer needed. I think there are entire disciplines and industries that Dungeons and Dragons is poised to topple. It'll be, there are barrel makers now that don't know they're barrel makers. All right, we're gonna get there. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for letting me share these ideas with you. I know I struggle to do it in a winsome way even now, but I'm trying. Thanks for sharing this with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. That's my opinion. What's your opinion? Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful millennium.